Yeah, look, I would say it's a bit akin to when your kid is applying to college. You only need one school to like your child so they get in. And all you need is one. And we still have a chance to have one team get to New Orleans.
Hey, could have two.
We could have two.
We look at
different regions.
We look at our big story. These are the round of 32 results for the Big Ten. Michigan pulling off a significant upset on Saturday, knocking off the third seed Tennessee there in the Sweet 16. Yesterday did not go quite as well. Purdue did pull away late to take down Texas, but Illinois and Wisconsin both lost to lower seeds, while Ohio State and Michigan State fell as well. Let's accentuate the positive first. Michigan and Purdue both continuing a run of recent success in the dance. Michigan in the Sweet 16 for the fifth straight tournament. Gonzaga, the only other school in the nation that can make that claim. They've actually been there 7 in a row. The Boilers not far behind. It's the 4th time they've gotten this far in the last 5 seasons, with last year being the only exception. Let's start with Purdue. They had a 20-0 run in this game, and yet they let Texas back into it, pulled away at the end. Jaden Ivey hitting the shot that will be remembered as the one that kind of sealed the deal for them. What did you take from Purdue's performance?
Well, first of all, when you say let Texas back in, I mean, it's a good Texas team.
No doubt.
So
yes.
You're in the NCAA tournament. No lead is safe, as we saw with Baylor and North Carolina.
Yes.
I mean, 20+, and Baylor came storming back to force overtime. So this is the Purdue team, though, that can win the national championship. And I know we speak in a lot of hyperbole, at least I do at times. Excuse me.
Yeah. Speak for yourself. Yeah.
Yes. At times I do here. But what we saw in spurts against Texas, there's no question Purdue can win the national championship among the remaining 16 teams. Even on their side of the bracket, you know, they have the size, they have the athleticism, they have the shooters. If they just don't turn the basketball over and make sure that, you know, they make enough threes and defend the three, they can win any of the 4 games remaining potentially on their schedule. You know, they are going classic David versus Goliath in their next matchup.
Yeah, I was thinking about this. I mean, Goliath literally is Goliath, too,
yes.
right? Like Zach Edey. If there was a player
yes.
in college basketball who would personify Goliath, it's Zach Edey.
And look, this game's going to be in Philadelphia against St. Peter's. You know, I don't know how many fans St. Peter's have. It's a tiny little school in Jersey City. It's a few buildings. People will be rooting for the underdog, Cinderella, to advance. And like I said, it's going to be nearby in Philly, but there is no question Purdue has the biggest break in the remaining of the NCAA tournament. No question.
Region totally opened up for them. 1
Wide
seed
open.
and 2 seed both out.
And I'll tell you, I mean, UCLA, I saw them in person in Portland. Pressure can bother them if Purdue chooses to do so. Athleticism can with Jaden Ivey. And, you know, familiar face in Miles Johnson, rotates with Cody Riley as their 2 centers. So they have size, but they're not as good as Edey and Williams. And Jaime Jaquez has a bum ankle, so that's UCLA. North Carolina, as we saw, is erratic. At their best, yeah, they can win a bunch of games and look really good, but they can let you back in. So we'll see how that goes. So they can definitely get to the Final Four. There's no question.
Agree 100%. And what makes them so difficult to defend is the Edey-Williams combination, right? That Edey got the foul and left the game within 45 seconds, right? It was in the first minute. And Williams comes in and owns the first half. But then Edey making some huge contributions down the stretch. They are just such a difficult matchup for people. They still didn't shoot the 3 great. Like, to me, they still need to figure out a way to get Sasha Stefanovic going a little bit here. It has been a struggle for him over the last couple of weeks. But again, figured out a way, and I think they've defended a lot better here down the stretch, Andy. I'm not as concerned with them defensively as I was.
Well, what I saw with UCLA, let's hypothetically, if they were to go against UCLA, Akron, of all teams, led by John Gross, former Illinois coach,
former Illinois.
They really bothered UCLA by being physical and getting up on them, like right in their grill. That bothered UCLA. And Mick Cronin's UCLA team is more of a physical team than normal UCLA teams, but that still bothered them. So if Purdue chooses to be physical, which they can be, that would be a tough matchup for UCLA. And as I said with North Carolina, Amarno Bacot certainly will be a problem for them if they meet them, but they've got the size to deal with him, and same with Brady Manick. The thing is, though, got to take care of business.
Yes, the Peacocks.
I mean, there's no question that team's going to play hard,
Yes.
but they don't have the size. Like, if they don't exploit that, I don't know what to do. I mean, like, they definitely should win this game. And we have seen this before with these Cinderellas. They have this great weekend. It happened to Oral Roberts last year, and then they kind of flame out, you know, in the Sweet 16.
We'll see if Purdue can make it to the Final Four. Hasn't happened since 1980. What about Michigan? It is strange to think of them as a Cinderella, but I mean, they're a double-digit seed in the Sweet 16. I understand they started the year in the top 10. Like, I'm not trying to paint this as the equivalent of St. Peter's. However, this is a team that hadn't won back-to-back games in more than a month. They picked a good time to do it and really played well against a Tennessee team that, first of all, had them down, and as a team that a lot of people feel like was underseeded as a 3. So give Michigan a ton of credit here, and doing it with Devontae Jones injured. Really impressive run.
A great run. I will say this. Michigan is now playing up to their potential. At the beginning of the season, if you told me, okay, it's a Michigan, Colorado State, 6-11, there's no way you would have said Michigan's the 11, Colorado State the 6. And even at the beginning of the season, Tennessee was not supposed to be as good as they ended up being. So I feel like we're finally seeing Michigan.
Yep.
I also want to say, and I was not part of the chorus of, look, we all said Juwan Howard, what he did was wrong. He should have been penalized. He got penalized. I never said he should lose his job. On the flip side, I want to compliment him publicly because what he did after that game, and there is a pre-existing relationship with Kennedy Chandler and his youngest son, but I thought that was one of maybe the moment of the weekend.
Yes.
You know, Kennedy Chandler of Tennessee, he's sobbing, and Juwan Howard embraces him. Great, real, emotional moment, saw the other side, and I thought that was wonderful. I also would say what he and Michigan have done to embrace the Fab Five is great too. I've never been a believer that you erase records or take down banners. You can penalize them somewhere else. The games happened. We saw them. And to see Chris Webber, Jalen Rose, Ray Jackson, all there with Juwan Howard, I think that's great for Michigan to embrace that.
Agree 100%. And it was really a cool scene. And those guys aren't just there, but they're involved, right?
Yes.
They're in the locker room. They're giving speeches to get these guys fired up. You do embrace the history. And Michigan has a great history in basketball, and Juwan Howard a huge part of that. Embracing the presence is pretty good, too. And to play as well as they did, I think given the circumstances, this is a team that has clearly gotten better. Hunter Dickinson has just kind of taken over games. And the ability to stretch the floor that he has shown, you get that feedback from the NBA people, what do I have to do better? Hunter Dickinson has done what he's had to do better, and he has done it within the team context.
And also, you know, he gets chippy a little times, but I think he's got a good edge to him.
He's talking trash to the
No, I know, but I
cheerleaders.
think that's good at this point.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, though. If they are fortunate to get by Villanova, as good as Arizona can be, I would just say this. The harder game within this subgroup is the first one. I mean, Villanova is playing so well.
Agreed.
They're not going to make mistakes. Michigan's guards are going to have to play the best game of their lives to beat Colin Gillespie and Villanova. And if they do, I actually kind of like their chances against either Arizona or Houston. I really believe the harder game of the two, potentially, is the first one.
Just to be here, though, the COVID, the injuries,
Yes.
the suspensions, all the things they've been through. So kudos to them. We'll spend a lot of time here this week, obviously, previewing both of those Sweet 16 matchups. One other piece of hoops news, I alluded to it off the top with Andy. Maryland does have a new coach. This is not a huge surprise. Kevin Willard announced this morning, spent the last 12 seasons at Seton Hall, made 5 NCAA tourneys, including this year. They lost in the first round on Friday, won the Big East regular season title in 2020. He was Big East Coach of the Year in 2016. This is one of the names we've been hearing throughout the process. So again, as I said, not a huge surprise, but what is Maryland getting in Willard?
They're getting someone who's incredibly passionate. He's going to be energized. Look, Mark Turgeon, I think, did a great job recruiting. Maryland's had players the last 5 years. And, you know, Willard's done a good job with getting players and making them better. So this will be interesting. Does he get the same kind of talent that Maryland was getting and then improve them? And if so, yes, because Seton Hall's teams got better throughout the course of the season. So that's good. You know, as I said, he wears his emotions on his sleeve. He's had good success. Remember, they went in to Michigan, won that game. Good success against the Big Ten in the non-conference. The one thing that he will have to correct,
yes,
because the Maryland fan base won't be patient on this, does not have a good NCAA tournament record.
He does not. He has never been past the first weekend. And if you think of what the criticisms of Mark Turgeon were at Maryland, it was not getting out of the first weekend. I will say this. Maryland's an easier place to win, in my opinion, than Seton Hall. Seton Hall has a nice history. They played for a
I think it's
national
the hardest
championship.
job in the Big East, no question.
Yeah, it's a tough job. And he has done a really good job there. And again, I understand. I mean, people were sitting here screaming from the rooftops that, you know, Villanova couldn't get out of the first weekend, right? I mean, that was the Jay Wright. That was the criticism of Jay Wright for years. And now look at them. I mean, sometimes you just need, I think, for Kevin Willard, you know, it's a long time to be at one place, and sometimes you just need a fresh start. I think the same thing for Mark Turgeon. I just don't think that necessarily you draw a straight line from what you do at one place in the first couple rounds to what you're going to do at another.
And the other thing that'll be interesting for him is to go from a school where you are the thing. Like, it's all about you. And now Maryland, you know, while Maryland basketball, obviously on the men's side, is very important, football, hugely important, obviously because they're in the Big Ten. Women's basketball has great history. And so you're a piece of the entire athletic department puzzle, not the focal point.
News conference coming your way tomorrow, 6 o'clock Eastern time. We will have it right here on the Big Ten Network. On the men's side, Michigan topped Minnesota 4-3 on Saturday night to capture its second ever Big Ten tournament title. Wolverines, the #1 overall seed in the NCAA men's tourney, one of 3 Big Ten teams that got in, joined by the Gophers and Notre Dame. They will open play on Friday against American International. And that gets us to our big interview. Michigan's Matt Beniers joining us. Matty, many people know the background on this team. This is a group of guys who didn't get a chance to play last year in the NCAA tournament due to COVID. You've got 4 of the top 5 picks in the NHL draft, yourself included, #2 overall pick. You all decide to come and play for Michigan this year, despite the possibilities of going pro instead. How sweet is this? What does this mean to you in this kind of first step along the journey to capture the Big Ten tournament?
Yeah, I mean, that was a great step for our team to, you know, capture that win. You know, I think the last couple weeks we've been playing good hockey. You know, we got swept by Notre Dame a couple weeks back, and that's, you know, we kind of had to take a step back and start getting back together as a team, and, you know, really start getting some momentum. And I think we did, and you know, we were able to beat them in the semis, and you know, finish the job in Minnesota. So it was really good for, you know, our whole team morale, and you know, just moving forward, getting some momentum going into the tournament.
Seems to me that sweep by Notre Dame was a little bit of a inflection point or a turning point for you guys. There was some criticism of this team kind of publicly after that, people saying, maybe they're not as tough as some of these other teams. I think there were some publicly kind of saying, well, this team's a little soft. And you guys responded to it, both on the ice and you kind of responded to it publicly. Did you guys internalize that criticism?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I didn't see much of it. You know, I think we all try to just have good team talk, not really worried too much about what other people think. You know, I definitely, there was some, you know, getting beat by the same team 4 times is tough. I think that week after we lost to them, you know, that week or those next 2 weeks in practice, it was all about, you know, working hard and being harder. You know, they were more physical than us when they beat us, and I think we matched their physicality when we beat them, along with, you know, our skill and our speed, what we're really good at. So I think that was, you know, good for us to find in our game, and I think that's something that we've carried, you know, through this last weekend and against Minnesota. So I think that's a good addition to our, you know, team game.
Let's dive into that game on Saturday. They scored less than a minute in. Mariucci is rocking. The home ice advantage feels like it's really going to be a huge part of this game. And then you guys responded. You had a beautiful assist to set up the equalizer. How important was that goal at that moment for you guys?
Yeah, that was that's a tough way to start a game. You know, they score 30 seconds in the game. You're like, oh my gosh, especially sold out crowd, and they're just going berserk. So, the building was shaking, but I think it was good by everyone on the bench. We stayed pretty calm, and we just went out there and, played hockey. I think I think it was a great play on the blue line by Luke, and he kind of threw it down, and we made a play and put one in. So I think that was pretty big to kind of calm everyone's nerves down because, that's a tough way to start a game, down 1-0.
There is so much star power on this team, but what does it say that, Mackie Samoskevich gets one of the goals, that Dylan Duke gets one of the goals, just in terms of the depth that you guys bring?
Yeah, I mean, we have 4 lines. Everyone can go. Every line is important. That line especially has been playing awesome. They're just a lot of chemistry on that line with Beach and Duker and Mackey. They've been great, and Bordelow's line, and then Lambert's line. So we got 4 really good lines, and that's tough for other teams to play against when you got 4 lines just coming and creating offense and playing hard every shift. So we're fortunate to have the team that we do, and hopefully we can put it to good use.
So you get the #1 overall seed, which is important certainly in the NCAA tournament. How much pressure do you feel to bring home a national championship, again, given the decisions that you guys made to come back?
Yeah, I mean, not too much pressure. I mean, I think, we all want to bring home a national title. I think that's, why we came back. We want a shot at it. Here it is. So, at this point, it's just time to go try to get it. We've worked all year for it, and, we worked really hard. So I think we're all prepared and just ready to play. It's just exciting. It's a fun time.
I know each guy who decided to return had a different decision-making process. Clearly, every person is different. For you, #2 overall pick in the draft, give us a sense of kind of the calculation in your head of the pros and cons and why you're sitting in this seat rather than, playing minor league or even NHL hockey right now.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things went into it for me. I love being here. I loved Michigan. I love playing Michigan hockey and, going to school here. It was a kind of a combination of a lot of things. We didn't get to have fans last year, didn't really get to experience the full Michigan college experience. And, we got kicked out of the national tournament last year because of COVID. So I think we all were pretty snake bit about that. We all wanted to, get our shot at the title. And so for a combination of reasons, we all came back.
One of the things that I find remarkable about this season, and we've talked about a lot on this show, is that you were one of several players who did this, guys who went over and played in the Beijing Olympics. I mean, you get a chance to represent your country in the middle of the season and then come back. First of all, let's talk about the first part of it. What was the Beijing experience like? What will kind of stand out in your mind as you think back years from now about what was a very unusual Olympics for sure?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great experience. I think we were pretty lucky and fortunate to have gotten it in the first place. With NHL players not being able to go, we were kind of the next ones up, and we were fortunate enough to go and experience being there, playing in those games, and playing at a higher level of hockey and going to other events, meeting all these awesome people. So overall, it was a great experience. Going to Beijing and. I had a lot of fun. I know Brendan and all the other guys that went had a lot of fun too, and it was a great time meeting all these different people and being on a new team. So obviously it wasn't the result we hoped for, but I thought we had the tools to win, but weren't able to get it done. So
one of the really remarkable stories, both with you guys and Minnesota, frankly, is how well both teams played without their Olympians. So what was that readjustment period like for you when you came back to a team that was playing some really good hockey?
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome to see, us being away and seeing them succeed, seeing guys step up. I think that made us better as a team in the end. It definitely did. All we did was kind of add back back the guys that were gone. And, I think every guy that elevated their game kept it there. Luke Hughes had a great couple weekends where we were gone. Mackie Samuskevich, like I talked about, that Beecher line, Bordelos line, everyone, played awesome and, continued that momentum that they got while we were gone and, brought it into these last couple weekends. So I think it was great. Obviously, we had to get adjusted back into playing Big Ten hockey, playing our team style. We're trying to learn a different style at the Olympics and then come back to our style. So, it wasn't too much adjustment, but I think it was that first weekend when we lost Notre Dame was tough, and then we kind of just jumped back in after that.
So what's kind of the internal dialogue now? What are you guys saying to one another as you head into this defining run of your season?
Yeah, I mean, it's just having good team talk, focusing on the first game. Every team is good at this point of the year. Anyone can beat anyone. I don't think people don't give teams enough credit. It doesn't matter if you're a 1 or a 16. Anyone can beat anyone. So we're just focused on, playing AIC that first game, making sure we win that one, and, having fun while we're doing it.
Well, Matty Beniers, congratulations on a great year to this point. Again, not just for Michigan, but representing your country as well. And looking forward to seeing what these next couple weeks hold now here for the Maize and Blue. Thanks, Matty. The team total of 131.5, far outdistancing second place Michigan, who, as you will recall, won the Big Ten title. Iowa third, Nebraska fifth, Northwestern sixth. So 5 of the top 6 teams from the Big Ten. Shane Sparks joining us now. There is so much to talk to. Let's get to Penn State first. 5 national championships individually for this team. How dominant was this team?
It's incredible. I got breaking news, Dave. The Big Ten is good at wrestling. I mean, Penn
They
State.
are. That's analysis.
It's crazy. Go back to 2017, the last 5 NCAA championships. In the finals, they're 21-3. 21-3. That's incredible. They're fantastic. They're great in all positions. Culture, talent. You put those 2 things together, it's incredible what they've done.
Let's start with Penn State, first of all. Give us some context on this team. Again, ran away with this thing. For those who maybe don't follow wrestling that closely, and as you know, I would count myself among them, give me a sense of what this means, the degree to which they won, the fact they had this wrapped up before the championship matches even started.
I would give you this. If they were a baseball team, they have 5 starting pitchers that hit the gun at 101. That's what they do. It's high horsepower, 5 guys. They can bank on these guys consistently. Michigan, fantastic team. But no surprise with the depth and the way the scoring works that Penn State was the favorite and ultimately pulled away at these championships. What they've done is incredible, and the freight train is not stopping anytime soon. They've won 9 of the last 11 contested tournaments, 9 of 11. Not to mention all season long, battling the best of the best in the Big Ten. It's spectacular. I will put this accomplishment with what they've done in wrestling against what anybody's done in the college sports landscape, any sport around the country.
Wow.
Hands down.
Okay, give me a sense for Iowa. And we talked at the very beginning of the year when Spencer Lee went out with his injury that this was going to make it challenging for Iowa to win a national championship. And we know that is the expectation of Iowa City. And it is clear that Penn State, for now, has supplanted them as the biggest powerhouse coming out of the Big Ten. Iowa, I mean, this is still a really good year by anyone's measure, but give us a sense for what this means for Iowa.
Iowa's just fine. I mean, the longer I'm around this, Dave, again, it's so hard to win. I mean, we're talking about the top 1% to the top 1%. Yeah. The Iowa Hawkeyes have taken a team trophy back to Iowa City 13 of the past 14 years, not to mention they just won a national title last year. I know it's the expectation. They battled some injuries. It's all part of it. It just adds to why this is so difficult. Here's a stat for you that I love about consistency, Dave. Jacob Warner made the final at 197. 32 consecutive tournaments the Hawkeyes have had a finalist. Last time they didn't, 1989. They had 5 All-Americans. Again, I know they're a little bit disappointed, but hats off to the Hawkeyes. 3rd place at the national tournaments, pretty incredible.
Yeah, no doubt. That does put it into perspective. Let's talk about some individuals. Gable Steveson will go down as one of the great wrestlers in NCAA history. The guy hasn't lost a match since 2019. He wins a national championship again. Where does he fit kind of in that pecking order in your mind of kind of all-time greats?
I think for heavyweight, he's the greatest of all time. No question about it. I think he'll be in the conversation, good water cooler talk as far as he ranks amongst all the weight classes. But he looked human, Dave. It's pretty incredible. Big Ten and beyond. Rick Pease and I last week, one of the questions, will Gable Steveson get taken down? And I said, the only way he gets taken down is he trips on the mat tape. Lucas Davison from Northwestern had a great tournament. He took down Gable Steveson, and a couple guys kept it to a regular decision. But he's been fantastic. His impact on the sport is what has mattered, I think, more than even his wrestling on the mat, the way that he engages with fans. He's an A1 celebrity in wrestling, and he's been fantastic. Great career for him.
And now going to the WWE, where he will continue to be an A1 celebrity. You mentioned Northwestern, really good tournament for them. They finished 6th. Ryan Deacon winning a national championship, put that accomplishment into perspective for us.
Ryan Deacon, fantastic. 4-time All-American, 4th in program history. He's the first national champion since Jason Surtis in 2014, the 9th Wildcats to win an NCAA title. The job that Matt Storniola was done with Northwestern, I tip my hat to him. This is another top 10 finish. They were 10th last year in St. Louis, 6th place this year, 4 All-Americans for the Wildcats, Deacon the national champion. What a great job for Matt Storniolo. And we talked about the team score with the Big Ten. You had obviously Penn State, Michigan, Iowa. Nebraska was 5th, Northwestern was 6th. So 5 of the top 6 teams come from the Big Ten.
This is great stuff. Big Ten wrestling and beyond coming up later with
Yeah,
Rick
looking forward to it. Final episode of the year.
Right. Okay. So if you want more wrestling talk, that is the place to go. But Shane.